So, my name is Deakin. I work at Microsoft. I work with small businesses and the partners that talk to those small businesses. I've been doing that for about 2 years. My wife herself has a small business as well. She makes cakes. And as some of you that have previously seen me talk maybe downstairs, I am a part owner in the said business as well. I am head of quality assurance. So very much like this lady here, that is my job. I eat the odd cake to make sure it tastes nice. Because you wouldn't want a terrible, horrible tasting cake to leave now, would you? So I've actually been at Microsoft for 10 years, and the changes I've seen at Microsoft and the type of organisations we speak to, as well as actually the changes within the company, are kind of massive. So throughout the next 30 minutes, I'm going to try and show you or talk to you about what some of those changes are. And actually how some of the things that we look at as the future vision of productivity are actually coming true. So these slides are actually based on a video called The Future Vision of Productivity. If you go and search online, you find a video from us. The thing to do is, I was kind of playing it just at the start there, sit and watch it and kind of take it all in and think, yes, this is all very Minority Report stuff. Does this stuff really exist? Actually, the funny thing is as you go through it, I can pretty much pick out the products that we have now or are developing. Certainly most of them we have now. They kind of relate to some of the stuff that's in there. But to start off with, kind of workplace design and really redesigning your workplace to make people collaborate better and actually to be more productive. If you like what I've talked about, or you don't, either way, I'm at Mark Deakin on Twitter, and as I have plentiful gadgets, I am also at work known as Geekin Deakin. So you may refer to me as thus if you can't remember my actual name. So workplace design. The world has changed, and I'm going to go into a little bit of how I kind of see this happening. So of all the Fortune 500 companies in 1955, surprisingly enough, you'd think all the large organisations then, if we think kind of that many years into the future, 60-odd years into the future, of all the Fortune 500 companies in 1955, 89% of them have gone, right? So it's something like only 61 of the companies that are on that list actually now are on both lists, so the previous one and the one now. 89% of them are gone. So really one thing to get from that is actually the types of organisations that are doing well are changing massively and very, very kind of quickly. So a lot of your competitors are actually people that you don't know exist at the minute. In fact, for your competitors, you are the company maybe that they don't know about that is going to kind of take them over in the future. So really kind of look at this as a means to be able to differentiate from what those current big kind of Fortune 500 companies are doing. And so what we're starting to see is actually the growth of the types of devices that people are using is driving this. So the PC, smartphone, and believe it or not, the kind of tablet thing is still, it's still progressing, but it's on a very kind of linear growth. You're not seeing much kind of growth down the bottom. The other thing that's changing all of this is something they refer to as the Internet of Things. It's an IP or it's an internet-connected device. If I think of something I have in my home, I have the usual kind of standard devices. I have I don't have a house phone. I've got a phone line, but I don't have a house phone plugged in. I have a fair few tablets. I've got some Surface tablets, obviously. But I've also got some IP-enabled stuff that is not your kind of standard product. So I have a Hive Home. So my central heating, right, is adjusted via my phone or via a website. I also have a couple of Wemo switches. They plug into my lights, and from the internet I can switch those on and on, adjust the time that they come on and on, depending on the season we're in. And so really, even in my house, I have a lot of Internet of Things devices that I'm connecting to. And those over time are going to affect a lot of what we're doing. And that brings in even more information. And it's the information is the thing that's almost a problem for us. So over the years, the amount of information that we're starting to have to process as an organisation, whether you're a big corporation like Microsoft, all the way down to a small business, is a lot more than you would have had previously. And actually, we're kind of now up to 44 zettabytes of data. Don't try and kind of comprehend how large that is. Just kind of take it in that it's a lot and more than anybody could possibly try and process themselves. And so really the problem is we don't really have an issue with the amount of data or lack of data. It's actually people's human attention and ability to be able to process and use that data properly. It's great to have all that information, but if you can't make any sense out of it, what's the point in having that kind of information in place? And so what we're starting to do also within those businesses is you see the way in which people interact is changing as well. And so traditionally, including some of the organisations I've worked for in the past, a lot of what they do, actually information moves very slowly. So if you want to have a conversation with someone, you have to go up the tree, along to the management at the top and back down again. You know, you can't just quickly go and speak to somebody. Actually, what you start to see in businesses that are more kind of progressive, and certainly the smaller ones, those next Fortune 500 companies that we don't know about yet, they start to have a more kind of spider type affair like you see on the right-hand side. And so information will travel a lot faster in those types of organisation. One thing you need to do in order for that to happen is you need management to allow that. That's nothing Microsoft can fix. That's management style, right? That needs to be done by the management as a whole. The second thing is you need tools in place to enable that to happen. That's what I'm going to go into a little bit here. And so, actually, as I said before, what we're starting to see is there's a little bit of a change, maybe where people are kind of going up to a certain high level of management to then come back down. But we're starting to see people even bypass these kind of hubs and go directly to the people that they need to speak to. The problem is how do you find or know that this piece of information is looked after or owned by another person in the team? Searching is one thing, but discovery is another, and we're going to go into a little bit about that as well. If you actually take a physical office, if I think of some of the offices I've been into, certainly in kind of the beginning of my career, it's a lot of row of desks. We have one of them still that kind of looks like a chicken shed almost, that people refer to it as. But of an old-style office where you've got a row of desks, that kind of makes people work in a certain way. What you then tend to find is actually people are getting up, they're going to have meetings, going to speak to other people. So about 60% of those desks are actually vacant. There's nobody sitting in those desks. They're wasted kind of space. And so what we've started to see is actually co-working spaces, so less kind of permanent desks, more areas that people can work, are actually starting to become more popular. And you do see up to 6 times as many co-working spaces as you would have seen kind of previously. Important thing here is when they go to those co-working areas, they still need to be able to do the work. They need to be able to project to the screen easily. They need to be able to collaborate wherever they are. They need to be able to pull people in remotely. If they don't have that permanent desk space that they've had before, they need some way of being able to collaborate that they wouldn't have been able to previously. So all in all, what we're seeing is a shift, and it's a shift from the old world of having no information, having hierarchies that you have to go around to find, speak to the right person, having to compete with other people to win. You have to keep your information so that the guy next to you doesn't have as much, otherwise he's going to get the bonus and you're not. Really, that kind of makes people individually be productive, but it doesn't make them work well as a team. And a lot of focus on how they're going to plan ahead. And it was very much the idea of kind of the efficiency of the process. Do what that person needs to do, but do it in a way that is efficient. What we're trying to do is actually move over to the stuff, obviously, on the right-hand side. Thus, it's in a brighter colour than the stuff on the left-hand side. And ultimately, what you're really trying to do is make sure people are more effective on their outcome. You can make the process as efficient as possible, But really, what you want is the outcome of the way that the person does the work. It shouldn't matter whether they're in the office or whether they're at home. It shouldn't matter of whether they have to come in to do some of that processing or elsewhere. We're driving the efficiency of the outcome. So really, what we're almost like not trying to do or think about here is productivity. We're trying to make people's human activity, the thing that they do to make you money, to do your job, to allow you to go and do what you need to do. That's the thing that we're trying to improve on, not just making the processes quicker. So I'm going to go into 4 different areas, and I'm going to show a part of that video where you see some Minority Report-esque type things being shown, and it looks like it's kind of all made up and not something that exists. And then I'm going to hopefully try and show you where that technology already exists, thus enabling you to kind of redesign your workplace. So I'm going to go into 4 areas. First one is collaborative, so showing how we can kind of bring people together. The second is intelligent and living smarter. The third is enabling people to be creative without having to worry about the tools that they're going to do it. So making sure that when you present something, it's the content you're getting across, not that you've had to fight with PowerPoint to get there, as it were. And the last one is actually being mobile, so being able to work wherever you need to. So the first one of those, doing more together. So in the video, we actually see someone in front of a screen, or rather a blackboard. And whilst they're in front of that blackboard, they're writing on the screen. They've got a little pen here to be able to type up. They're able to kind of print straight from there. And it all looks relatively kind of mythical sort of stuff. The other thing you tend to do also in this video when you see it is down the bottom-hand side, you can see someone writing on a tablet. And some of that information is then shared with the people up the top. Now, when you see the video, it does look pretty kind of Star Trek-y type stuff. But funnily enough, that stuff already actually exists. So we have the Microsoft Surface Hub. In fact, it's a thing, it's the first of its kind. There is one down there on the Microsoft stand. Has anybody seen the Surface Hub today? Yeah, I always put my hands up because it shows people what to do. Super. So, well worth going to have a look at. Think of like Minority Report, but just on a board kind of thing. So the Surface Hub is actually a piece of hardware that we're selling. There's a 55 and an 80-odd inch device that's going to start to be sold in the US, the UK, and everywhere else. And that one down there is something like one of 4 that are in the country. So certainly go and have a play with it. Go and ask them kind of to show you how it's used. And what in that video, if we translated that into something that people are using now, actually the Surface Hub is that display. It's that large whiteboard. Then anybody can walk into a room. You don't need to swap any IP addresses, telephone numbers to do any video conferencing. You walk into the room, you say start meeting, and everyone's there. It calls everyone that they need to. There's a OneNote to share throughout everybody that's in the team. And then what happens is, because of what we've been doing with Windows 10, just to show hands of people that have Windows 10, one way or another. Excellent, cool, good stuff. So, because it's running Windows 10 as well, the applications that you actually run on your Windows